Speaking of joyless cat ladies, I don't know what should we do. Should we do JD Vance in 2021, or should we just go right into the video he did, which set off that guy,
please.
Dave Portnoy?
Yes. Okay, so this is I want to read this quote from, well, you set it up while I find this. Hold on, go ahead.
Let's play this clip of, this is JD Vance, pre-Ozempic, on Charlie Kirk's show. When was this? Do we know when that appearance was?
Not that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. Maybe he's been working out.
Gosh, that beard does not hide how moon-faced he is.
Honestly, I kid about the Ozempic thing. It's helpful for people, and if people want to do it, that's
it's helpful for
Reporting
politicians.
from ABC News, it looks like this was 2021 also.
Okay, so this is, now, I know a lot of people are like, well, it was only 3 years ago, but you have to understand that JD Vance's life is like a dog's life, because the change in his political disposition from, let's say, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018 to 2020 is literally like, in human years, that would have been 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But in Vance years, that's like 18 years.
Right.
And so 2021, to be fair, in Vance years is 18 years ago. However, he's still pushing this stuff anyways. So here he is, because it's all part of this TradCon thing. Here he is on the Charlie Kirk show in 2021.
I'll go back to something I said earlier about we need to reward the things that we think are good and punish the things that we think are bad. So you talk about tax policy. Let's tax the things that are bad and not tax the things that are good. If you're making $100,000.
Pause it for 1 second. I will say that I think that statement is perfectly valid. I think we should use the tax code in that way. We try to in certain instances, like, the cigarette tax has definitely helped significantly and cut down on lung cancer and all the problems associated with cigarette smoking. I would disagree with Vance probably on the fact of like the similar impact of billionaires. We should tax the hell out of billionaires. But I do appreciate, and he would disagree, but I do appreciate that Vance recognizes as legitimate the tax code as a method of controlling in society and incentivizing in society behavior that we like and don't like. And we just need to have an argument about those behaviors. But here it is. This is his idea. He wants the tax code to function to support his religious notion of the patriarchy and the role of women in society, et cetera, et cetera.
And not tax the things that are good. If you're making $100,000, $400,000 a year, and you've got 3 kids, you should pay a different, lower tax rate than if you're making the same amount of money and you don't have any kids. It's that simple.
I totally agree.
We'll go back to something.
Okay. Now we should also say that he has, talked about people who have kids get extra votes for every kid that they have that they control, almost like their kids are property. But put that aside. I think it is reasonable to provide benefits for people to make it easier for people who have families.
Yes.
So we had something called the child tax credit.
Yep.
It was implemented during COVID under the Biden administration. Congress voted on it. I should say, let me amend that. All the Democrats in Congress voted on it, and then the Senate. And they fortunately had majorities in both houses. And they passed it in February of 2021. It was called the American Rescue Act. It provided $300 a month per child to families. It cut off around, if you made I think a combined $180,000, it faded. I happen to think you make that universal and you get it back in taxes, but they were paid, and that was a great benefit. In fact, it raised over 7 million people out of poverty. 45% of children were taken out of poverty. And then as a country, we yawned and said, that was an interesting experiment. Who cares? Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema decided they didn't care about that anymore. Both those people are
And the entire Republican Party.
And the entire Republican Party
Killed it.
Killed it.
And
Including Mitch
Harris
McConnell.
was reportedly, and who knows if they're hyping this up just for the media right now, but well across this and a part of advocating as in the White House, the child tax credit. Now, J.D. Vance was not in the Senate at the time. He was running at this point for the Senate. He says he supports the child tax credit. But based on all of his comments, do you think that he would be, as one of the most unpopular vice presidential picks in the history of this country, able to Hercules-esque, right, lift up the entire Republican Party and get them to change their position on a dime on the child tax credit? Do you think that he'd be able to do that? No.
Of course not.
So he's lying.
But what's really fun about this clip is it apparently triggered this guy, Dave Portnoy. Now,
Yes.
I don't follow him. So I wasn't really aware of, I vaguely had some awareness, but Emma, he's a sports guy, is that
He's
right?
a sports gambling addict maybe not addict, but a guy that sells
Are
sports
you
gambling.
guys supposed to talk about that? I thought it was anonymous when you go to those meetings.
Right,
Okay,
right.
good.
Well, in all our, he literally bets like $1 million on a game and then puts that out there to his followers.
But he runs
who are
Barstool
Sports. He founded Barstool. He interviewed
Which is
Trump.
a right-wing sports
It is, yes.
conglomerate.
Right-wing sports outfit.
Apolitical reactionary, I'd call it.
Yeah, apolitical. I would say, though, it is, their hosts are majority white. It's geared towards majority white sports
Some
fans.
insane misogyny, even from Portnoy himself, actually.
Oh, certainly. I mean,
stuff.
Portnoy has been accused of, in publications like Business Insider, of some sexual misconduct, but just accusations. Portnoy.
But we should also say he sounds like exactly, and you made this point in a tweet. Can we pull this up, actually?
I have it here.
Okay.
Let's put. Can you get past? Can you pull up this Puck News article here, Bradley? This is where it is.
So this is from Puck News. Why don't you read it off? Because
Yeah.
this sounds like exactly the type of person that J.D. Vance is supposed to be attracting and bringing into from the sidelines, as it were, to extend this sports metaphor.
Yeah, so Puck News reported that the Trump campaign is, quote, they've been struggling to avoid the landmines that come with running against a generationally defining, potentially glass ceiling breaking historic candidate like Harris. Trump surrogates like Speaker Mike Johnson have warned House members to avoid gender or race-based attacks like calling Harris a DEI candidate. But the campaign's overall strategy continues to focus on turning out low information, low propensity male voters, if that wasn't clear enough from the RNC lineup of Kid Rock, Dana White, and Hulk Hogan. Privately, some on the Trump team admit that they may end up alienating the suburban women who carried Trump in 2016, the Karens, as they refer to them, in order to run up the score with men.
Okay, so now when Puck writes the low information male voter who's into sports, that sounds like all the people
The
who
Stoolies.
follow Barstool Sports, right? Like that's why even like
Target demo.
Matt just said, I don't know if I would call them like sort of like reactionary apolitical. That is like almost definitionally the same two cohorts of people. So let's check in with Dave Portnoy
Yep.
to see how he responded to J.D. Vance. Brilliant pick, incidentally, J.D. Vance. I will read it off. This is fucking idiotic. You want me to pay more taxes to take care of other people's kids? We sure this dude is a Republican? Sounds like a moron. If you can't afford a big family, don't have a ton of kids.
You know that he's a Boston fan, right? And Barstool came out of Boston. It's just you picked up on the energy.
No, I saw
accurately.
moron, and there's a couple of
Yep,
words,
no,
too.
he is a big Boston sports fan, a big Tom Brady buddy. So sorry about that, Sam. You have to share your fan base with a guy like that.
That is a drag.
But the Babylon Bee now is in a feud with the reactionaries over at
Barstool.
Barstool. Joel Berry, I guess he's the guy from managing editor of the
managing editor of the
Babylon
Babylon
Bee,
Bee, yeah.
right-wing parody paper. You're a 47-year-old man-child with no kids who has an abusive fetishist sex.
While canceling him all of a sudden.
Yeah.
with girls barely out of high school. That is what has been
That's so
alleged.
funny because that would have never have come up if
Yeah.
Portnoy was a Vance head.
No, because it came out in that Business Insider piece, which he threatened to sue them out of existence, by the way. Very Trumpian tactic. Sorry, but no one thinks our tax policy should incentivize lifestyles like yours. Boom.
Whoa, but then Portnoy strikes back. He goes, weird. Weird.
There you go.
Portnoy says, weird. Your boss fucking loves me. Specifically, how I deal with clown shows like you. And this is I guess a DM. This is from Seth Dylan, who is the boss I get at Babylon B. I get
One of the-
confused.
Another total loser.
Yeah.
One of the co-founders, yeah.
Is he from Boston? Well, he is now. Dave, it's Seth Dylan. I run the Babylon B. I got your number from blank. We're not going to put his name or her name out there. On celebritiesnumbersforsale.com.
Oh, it's a joke. Okay, gotcha.
She'll hate me for that joke. Yeah, she told me. War's going on. That's the way that we talk in Boston. War's going on. No, it's
Yeah.
it's supposed to be what's going on. Not much, dude. Just wanted to connect. Big fan of yours, especially with how you handle the media and their bullshit. We're not far away either. My HQ is in Jupiter, Florida.
There you go.
That's cool.
It's
I love
fun
those
to see
guys
this.
hanging out.
Yeah, so even the stoolies, I love the idea of an aide coming to Trump and saying, like, Mr. President, the stoolies have fallen. I mean, these are like, they don't, if they just want to drive up the score with low propensity men, that is a losing strategy.
That's a losing strategy.
Effed.
Well, that is a
Fuck,
losing
somebody said-
strategy
yeah,
that they are failing at.
Yes.
they're getting, like, it's a bad strategy and they're not executing it.
I'm trying to think of who is a worse person to lose in that effort than Dave Portnoy at all in culture.
I think we have
Rogan?
one response to this. Don't we, Matt?
Let them fight.
Yes, there you go. Thank you.
There we go.
But that is absolutely wonderful. I'm enjoying it. If we had like a what are those, crystal ball? Mm-hmm. I think we could see an image of Donald Trump Jr. in his house somewhere, has not slept for 8 days, and he's just, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. That's basically what's going on.
Might work out.
Let numbers going to turn around.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
You know what occurred to me over the weekend is Trump and Don Jr. and Eric treated this like they were closing a real estate deal. They treated it like they were closing a real estate deal with the guy that had the purse that was going to get their dad reelected, right? They didn't understand the politics of the situation. They didn't really fully get that doubling down on the Christian nationalist weirdo control women and families thing would not play in the way that they needed to. They got the bag man, and they were probably so proud when they went to daddy and said, we got this guy who has the connections to Peter Thiel, all the purse strings. This is going to create a lot of investment in our campaign. Well, turns out Kamala Harris, erased all that with small dollar donations in the matter of 72 hours. You're shit out of luck now if the guy that you pick for VP is underwater in an unprecedented fashion after his RNC speech.
I think the need for money was not even so much of the competitive with Harris as much as like we just need money. Like I've still got a lot of
Legal bills.
Legal bills. Hey, so we all remember the Supreme Court's ruling on Trump's presidential immunity case. Well, get this. The leader of the Heritage Foundation think tank has said the second American Revolution will be bloodless if the left allows it to be. All sparked by the Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity. Well, Ground News found nearly 50 sources reporting on it with zero coverage coming from the right. Why? Well, going through these articles, you can see most of them tie this project to Trump. Like this report from the DCCC writing Trump's so-called Project 2025 manifesto advocates for a nationwide abortion ban, quote, silencing his political enemies and more. With presidential elections not too far away, this is an extremely important story, and you wouldn't know about it unless you intentionally diversify where you get your news from, which is why Ground News created their blind spot feed. It's to surface major stories with little reporting coming from either the right or the left. Our longtime sponsor really simplifies empowering yourself with knowledge so we're fully aware where our information is coming from and how that influences our reporting or lack thereof. An important mission under our current political climate. Best of all, they're offering my viewers 40% off the same unlimited access Vantage plan that gets me access to all their features. So head to ground.news/majority or scan my QR code to help support an independent news platform working towards a more transparent media landscape.